NFL Pick'em Show, weekly Pick'em Show on the Grizzly True Sports Network. We are at week number 8, and I want to remind you all the Grueling Truth is powered by Betting.net. Betting.net is your best bet for finding the online casino or sports book that's right for you. Make sure you check out Betting.net. I am your co-host for the NFL Weekly Pick'em Show, Mike Goodpaster. Right now, I'd like to welcome in my co-host. First up, Steve Grizzly, 1981 national champion.
Hello, guys. Good to see you today.
Good to see you, Steve. And of course,
good to be seen.
Our other co-host has never won a damn thing, but he's got a Tim Tebow jersey and he drinks beer, which those two probably shouldn't go together, should they? Dan, help me welcome Dan Kornheiser.
Kornheiser. What's up, guys? Well, we have ourselves a ball game, as they say. Mike and I are tied after last week. And Steve is making up ground little by little. Steve's back-to-back 8-game correct weeks.
Hey, Dan.
Has him only 4 games back right now of us two.
Dan, if you ever saw Any Given Sunday, you'll learn that it's a game of inches.
Well, you know what? That could be the title. Never mind. So, what's our first game on tap?
Our first game is the Green Bay Packers at the Arizona Cardinals. That spread has went from 3.5 to 6.5 just in the last day, I assume because of Davante Adams, who looks like he won't be playing now. Packers-Cardinals, this could be an NFC Championship game preview, Dan.
We're looking at two of the best teams in the league. I'm a little disappointed that it's on a Thursday night. I feel like this is one of those that should be flexed to a Sunday night or a Monday night. This is a marquee matchup. It is, unfortunately, losing a little bit of his star power because, as you mentioned, Davante Adams is on the IR reserve for COVID-19, and Alan Lazard, fellow wide receivers, joining him on there. So the Packers are going to be a little shorthanded at wide receiver. Randall Cobb is slated to be their number one. Rodgers, their rookie third-round pick out of Clemson, probably going to be getting a lot of playing time as well. They're going to try to probably lean on their ground game a lot in this one. The Cardinals 6.5 at home. That's a little rich normally for my blood, but they're playing lights out. Kyler Murray is steamrolling to an MVP season as long as they keep winning like this, and he keeps doing his thing. I know he was our three favorite for MVP, but I feel bad doing this, but I'm going to go with the Cardinals at 6.5. I think it shouldn't be that. But the Packers are lacking just enough at receiver that the Cardinals can try maybe keep them one-dimensional and try to shut down that ground game and really make Aaron Rodgers come out and do something special with us three at receiver.
Yeah, but I think the possibility of Aaron Rodgers doing something special is what makes the 6.5 points so hard to give up. Steve, too much for your blood, or are you going to go with the Cardinals and give the almost touchdown spread?
I think that Aaron Rodgers is the kind of quarterback and having one of those years where he's throwing the ball so accurately and so good. I don't know that the receivers are the most dominant thing in his armamentarium as much as his accuracy in his arm right now. And to give up 6.5, I mean, if it was a tighter game, 3.5, I mean, I'd say definitely, but 6.5 points is a lot to give up against Aaron Rodgers, even though he's lost some key players. I still think that if anybody can make that 6.5 up, it's him. So I'm going to take the Packers on this one.
I mean, just one more thing, Mike, before you pick. The Packers are dealing with a ton of key injuries, not just guys like the Darius Smith that we knew about for weeks now. Jair Alexander, David Bakhtiari's still out. Josh Myers at center is on IR now. Kenny Clark, the nose tackle, is questionable. Kenny King was limited in practice. He was questionable for tomorrow. Again, with the two receivers, that's a lot that they're missing out on this week. And it's a short week. At Arizona, it's tough.
I don't know, Mike, he asked you, did you want to answer that first?
Ask me what?
Well, he kind of said, Mike, give you all this bullshit.
Well, it's not bullshit, Steve, because you're missing. I think Davante Adams isn't the biggest absence here. I think it's the corner, Jair Alexander, because, I mean, that's a dude that could cover one of those studs for the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals win this game by double digits. And I think
Wow.
if the Packers were completely healthy, I think it'd be a 3.5-point spread, and I would go with the Packers because that half point would be the difference for me if I'm betting a game. But with all these injuries, it's a Thursday night game. Arizona's at home. They were at home last Sunday against Houston, correct? So they haven't had to go anywhere. The Packers were at home against the Redskins. They got to travel to the West Coast, though. I like the Cardinals, and I'll give the 6.5 points all day here.
All right.
Next up, the Philadelphia Eagles against the Detroit Lions, and I will give your Lions this, Dan. They suck. But also, I did like the way they came out and attacked the Rams. They tried to win the game. It's just the Rams had too much talent for them.
I mean, that's the nicest way that you can say it. The Lions played again a really hard game, and I guess we kind of disrespected them last week going with that really huge line in the Rams' favor. I think it was 16.5 when we made these picks. But the Rams are just that good, and I'm proud of the Lions for showing up like they did. But in the end, it didn't matter. The better team won. It was clear.
That annoys me when people say I'm proud of my team because they tried hard.
That's what happens when your team sucks, dude. That's all.
No, that's what happens when you're 12 years old. I'm proud of my NFL team. Those guys don't give two shits about any of us. So why do you be proud of them? They need to go out and win the damn game.
Listen, when your team loses, like the Lions lose, like I'm used to losing, like Jets fans are used to losing, like you have nothing to go for. Like the Lions, our major draft picks aren't anything special. Sure, TJ Hawkinson's a nice tight end, but is he some, franchise building block? Nah. Jeff Okudah, 3rd overall pick, flaming out, injuries, doing nothing when he plays. It's ugly. We have literally nothing to root for. At least a few years ago, I had Calvin Johnson. I had Ndamukong Suh.
Matt Stafford.
The Stafford. I love Stafford. The Lions made the playoffs a few times with David Caldwell. Like, I had something to go by then.
Jim Caldwell.
That, now I have literally nothing. I have no good prospects on my team. My team is butt. So, you know what? Yeah, when they're playing well, because I'm used to them having 12 penalties a game, just stupid plays in the second half, just shooting themselves in the foot, just total ineptitude. This is nice to see. At least they're trying. They're professionals, and I probably shouldn't be giving them that E forever or whatever kind of thing. But this is what I have to hang my hat on when my team's buns.
But unfortunately, effort is supposed to be a given. I'm going to go with Philadelphia in this game. I actually kind of deep down want to pick Detroit because I think they're accidentally going to win a game at some point. But I'm going to go with the Eagles. I'm going to give the 3.5 points, Steve.
I'm with you. I'm going to take Philly in this one. I just think Detroit, this constant losing tight games and close games that possibly they could have won, is going to start wearing on them. And they played their hearts out against the Rams. I got to give them that.
Well, you know what? Do you know? Dan can probably answer this, but you know the only team that really destroyed Detroit, Detroit wasn't even in the game.
No.
Yeah, he knows. It was the Bengals last week.
Oh.
Yeah. Just bringing that up, Dan.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
but I think, I just think Detroit's going to be into double digits losing before they pick up a win. And it's going to be more because some team just doesn't. They look forward past them rather than take them seriously. They're in a rebuilding period. They've been there for 40 years.
They've been there since like 1958 or 59.
Since they lost Chuck Sanders. So.
Chuck Sanders? Oh, Charlie Sanders.
Charlie Sanders,
the great tight end. Dan's probably never heard of Charlie Sanders, have you, Dan?
Probably hadn't.
Maybe.
So how are you a Detroit Lions fan?
How are you Detroit fan don't know about Charlie Sanders
of all time?
God.
He's a top 10 tight end of all time, and you've never heard of him, and he played on your team. That's pathetic.
So how irrelevant he is in my world.
But how relevant the Lions really are.
He's not in anybody's world. He's not in anybody's world anymore.
I'm gonna go with Philly as well. It's gonna be close, but I'm gonna go with Philly as well.
All right, next up, the Kansas City Chiefs, who are struggling, go to New York to battle the Giants. The Giants are getting 10 points, Grizzly.
Chiefs at NY Giants. And it's plus 10.
Yeah.
Oh man, I tell you what, I have got my ass burnt on the Chiefs the last 5 weeks.
Because you won't listen to me.
I know you're right, and I'm gonna tell you what. This week, the Giants showed some moxie a little bit last week, not a lot, but I'm gonna take the Giants in the 10 points.
All right.
I just think the Chiefs are in disarray. Um, I think they've got some funk going right now that nobody really knows how to play together right now. They're not mad at each other. They just don't look like they're cohesive like they used to be. So I'm going to take the Giants and take the 10 points.
Well, my point would be this. I don't think we can consider this, Dan, an elite Kansas City Chiefs team anymore. I think anybody that thought you were going to have a dynasty like the Patriots with them was way off. I think there's issues on defense, but I also do know this. When the Chiefs play lesser opponents, like the Eagles, they beat the hell out of them because they still have enough offense to blow you out. But when I look at this, the Giants do not have enough. This is going to be a blowout. This is going to be 38-10 Chiefs. Dan?
I hate to agree with you, but yeah, I mean, Steve, I really wanted to go with the Giants in this one. I do, but they are absolutely ravaged all over.
Is Saquon Barkley back?
Saquon Barkley is probably not back. He's questionable right now. But we'll see. I don't think they're in a rush to bring him back at all. They're not good anyway, so why risk his long-term future?
I agree.
Jabril Peppers, the defensive back for the Giants, is also on IR, which is another big loss for that team. They couldn't really go with another loss like that. There's too many players. The Chiefs are too good. The only caveat I'll say is if Patrick Mahomes doesn't play. I don't think that's going to be a thing. I think he'll be out there. But if he doesn't, it's going to be Chad Henne versus Dan Jones, and that's gross. And that could make it a lot closer. The Chiefs.
I disagree. I disagree. I believe that almost any quarterback you throw in Kansas City can put points up. And we saw him do it in the playoffs last year. They still won the game.
Then why aren't they?
They are putting points up. They're not stopping anybody. Last week they only scored 3 points, but that was because their defense can't get off the field. And what happens when your defense sucks is, as a quarterback, no matter how good you are, you press when you know you've got to score all the time. And that takes away from your offense. They're not going to have that case with the Giants, probably.
Going into that game against the Titans, we were talking about a 50-point over-under, and people were taking the over on that. This was supposed to be a shootout, and it was anything but. We're not talking about some vaunted Titans defense here. We're talking about one of the worst defenses in the league.
I think when
lost to the Jets and couldn't stop Zach Wilson, and now suddenly they stopped Pat Mahomes.
And you will see Tennessee start to stop people because they've made changes in their scheme. They've done things differently, and over the last couple of weeks, they have played better ever since that Jets game. So I think the Tennessee Titans are a Super Bowl contender right now. I think the Colts are a Super Bowl contender right now. I think the AFC is not very good. I think right now, when you look at it, Kansas City, if they could write the defense, would be back in it. I think right now the two best teams are the Bills and the Bengals.
You're not wrong. I'm not going to even argue with that. I was very much,
and I didn't laugh after I said it. So
I was very much on the Ravens line, buying Lamar Jackson. But after last week, what Cincinnati did to Baltimore, it wasn't just they beat them. It was a whooping. They opened up a can. They had their way with Baltimore. They looked just inept in every aspect of the game. And kudos to Cincinnati. I wasn't a believer, but I'm buying them now. And you're not wrong when you say they're one of the top two, if not the top team in the AFC. In fact, if I remember correctly, the Bengals are currently the top seed in the AFC.
They are. Let's not talk about that anymore. All right, AFC North. Little rivalry game, Steve. The Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cleveland Browns. This is a huge game for both teams because Cincinnati, Baltimore are both a game or two ahead of them. They need to win this game. Both teams do. Who gets the win here?
Mayfield playing?
Well, let's see. Baker, Chubb, Odell Beckham, Jack Conklin, Jarvis Landry, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Denzel Ward, all questionable. for the Browns.
Which means they'll play.
And as we know, Jock, their star rookie linebacker, is out. Kareem Hunt, running back, still out. So they're
Answer me this: who's out for Pittsburgh as you look at that list?
looking at the list. It's a very, very short list. Besides Juju Smith-Schuster, Stephon Tuitt, who was doing nothing, and Tyson Alualu, Steelers are pretty healthy going into this game.
All right, I'm going to take the Steelers, even though I asked Steve to pick. I'm just going to take Pittsburgh to +3. I think that the Pittsburgh Steelers defense, when healthy, is as good as any defense in the NFL.
Loaded.
And with all the questionable guys from Cleveland, even if they all play, the question is how healthy are they going to be when they play? And you would think at it as questionable, a few of those guys probably aren't going to be able to go. I'm going to take the Steelers here, and the Steelers would then, I think, be tied or just ahead of the Browns in the AFC North, Steve.
Yeah, I'm going to be in agreement with you, but for a little bit different reason. I'm going to take Pittsburgh as well, and in the 3 points. But I'm going to do it because I'm scared to death of Mike Tomlin right now. Don't ever damn ask him a question if he's ever going to coach USC ever again.
But you know that response means he's probably going to end up to coach at USC.
I know he's going to end up the coach at USC.
That's normally how.
But after listening to that, and they played that tirade in Los Angeles about it was on a 5-minute loop on all the news channels.
Yeah, he says that no donors have enough money to get him there until one of them gives him a check for $150 million for 10 years.
Gives him the rest of John Gruden's money.
So. Yeah, then he'll be singing the USC fight song all the way to the bank.
Yeah. I listened to that and I thought, okay, that's about as definitive an answer as I've ever gotten out of an NFL coach.
But he did say you never say never, even though he said never again after that.
Never again, after that.
It's according to what he's offered. There's a lot of people who say they're not going to do it and then end up doing it. Dan, do you agree with us?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Pittsburgh as well on this one. I don't want to, but there's a lot going on with Cleveland, and even though Case Keenum was useful last week.
What'd you say? Case Keenum was useful? Is that what you said?
Is that what I said?
I think you just said that. Last week when I said Case Keenum was as good as better than most backup quarterbacks in the NFL, you laughed at me. You remember that, Steve?
I do, because I agree with you.
I did laugh. I laughed. And I would laugh again if we had that conversation today.
Do you know Case Keenum? Case Keenum has won more playoff games in his NFL career than your Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, what, one?
Well, he's won just as many with less attempts.
I'm going to go with Pittsburgh. Even though Ben Roethlisberger looks worse every week, that defense is stacked, and the Browns got too much going on injury-wise.
Well, I think the last time we saw Pittsburgh's defense completely healthy, they shut down the Buffalo Bills and beat Buffalo in Buffalo.
You're not wrong. Let's see them do it again. Cleveland is in a bad way right now. They got to get healthy sooner than later.
Yeah, because if they don't, if you look at the schedule for the teams in the AFC North, if this drags on for a few more weeks, they're going to be out of it.
Oh, they're falling behind already as it is.
Well, yeah. I mean, right now the Bengals are playing the Jets this week, so you got to assume that's a win.
Yeah.
And before you know it, you're 2 games behind, which can turn into 3 when you go to Cincinnati the next week if you're not healthy. And then you're dead in the water. All right, next up, the Miami Dolphins at the Buffalo Bills. The Bills are favored by 13.5 points, Dan.
I like it. I'm going to take Buffalo. The line is a little high than I'd like it to be, but Buffalo's coming off their bye week. I'm sure they're prepared and well-rested for this game. Miami is going straight down, and they're going down fast.
Hey, I think Tua's played much better the last couple of weeks, though, and they have scored points. The problem is the defense is terrible, and they can't really run the ball.
Which is going to destroy your team. You can't expect to win with a quarterback you don't fully trust behind an offensive line that might be the worst in the league, but it's definitely one of the worst in the league, and not be able to run the ball, not be able to play defense. It's a losing recipe. They're a bad team. They looked good beating the Patriots, but other than that, it's been nothing but downhill. This is a lost team. It's just a matter of time until Flores gets fired if they keep this going. Disappointing all around. I'm going to go with Buffalo.
All right, I'm going to go with Buffalo, too. Steve, you going with Buffalo? And then I got a question for both of you. And the
going with Buffalo.
The question is this. I'm going to start with Steve. The Deshaun Watson trade, there's an awful lot of smoke not to be any fire. Do you think
You're
that
talking about
Miami?
the one to the Panthers?
Yeah, no, to Miami.
Okay.
If you're
But the
Miami,
Panthers came out today and said that's off the table as far as the Panthers are concerned.
they
That's
can
right.
say that. Miami said that too, but nothing's off the table. I think this, though. I think Miami looks like the most possible destination. If you're the Dolphins, would you give up that much for Deshaun Watson? Because I would give up that much for Deshaun Watson if this was a year or two ago and you didn't have all the issues.
I would, Mike, if I think the only thing they were missing was a quarterback that could carry him right now. Although I'm not sure Deshaun Watson can still do that. But
Why?
Miami needs so much more than just a above average quarterback in the NFL who had great potential at one time, but hasn't really shown it lately.
He hasn't?
That team's just continued to drop down and down and down.
He's not playing, though.
I know he's not playing, but why is he not playing?
Nobody knows right now from what I can tell.
See. So it's something other than injury, most likely.
Wait a
Or
second.
they just
This is
come out
the
and say it's
thing.
injury.
Last year, Deshaun Watson, 70% completions, 4,800 yards, 33 touchdowns, 7 interceptions.
Yeah, well, we're not playing last season over again.
I hate to tell you this, though. He is one of the 3 or 4 best quarterbacks in the NFL.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
He was
He
a
might
top
be
5
the
quarterback
best.
last year.
He might be the best quarterback in the NFL.
He
Okay.
did what he did
Well-
last year on a Texans team that was that bad. He did it by
Yeah.
himself.
And
By
he would be
himself.
doing it right now if they played him.
He would be doing it right now. They'd probably
Yeah.
have 3 wins by now.
I think Miami has much deeper problems to give up the farm for Deshaun Watson.
I don't, because if you give up the farm for it, it's like the Bengals. Why are the Bengals so good? They drafted Joe Burrow. You get Deshaun Watson, you're
well,
going to
Joe
win games.
Burrow's a special young
So
man.
is Deshaun
I mean,
Watson. As a
okay,
quarterback,
well, he's had 4 or
special.
5 years in the NFL to prove it.
Yeah, and he's proved it.
Well, he hadn't won anything significant yet. He's kind of like the Lions.
Wait a second. He's not like the Lions because he's been on bad teams, still got him to the playoffs. For his 4 years, 68% completions, 14,000 yards, 104 touchdowns, 36 interceptions, a quarterback rating for 4 years of 104.5. I mean, this is a man that has been in the playoffs 2 or 3 years out of the 4.
I guess I'm talking, and I don't even know what they're going to have to give up for him. So, but I'm
Well,
sure
it was a first round
1 or 2
pick.
first-round picks.
It was, I think, what was it, Dad? Was it a first round, 2 seconds, 2/3, something like that?
They've always said from the beginning it's going to be 3 first-round picks plus players. So one can only assume that they're going to give up their first-round picks for the next couple of years. They might even throw Tua that way if Houston even wants Tua.
If I was Houston, I would want Tua.
So would I.
He's a hell of a lot better than Davis Mills, and he has
100% better.
and he has looked better. And I think if you look at the amount of games Tua's played, it's like 16 games tops right now. So he's really only played a year in the NFL. And I mean, why not have him throw Tua in? Because Miami, if they get Deshaun Watson, Tua's not going to want to be there. Deshaun Watson probably doesn't want him there. And I mean, when you look at Miami, the quickest way to turn a place around is a franchise quarterback. Steve, you're a Colts fan. When they got Peyton Manning in there in 1998,
They went from 3 and 13 to 13 and 3 overnight.
Yeah, I mean, he was 3 and
Yeah.
13 his rookie season. His second year, they're 13 and
But
3.
the Colts still had other players. They still had Marvin Harrison. I mean, they had other players that,
Marcus Pollard, Tariq Glenn.
Yeah, they had other talent around. I don't
But
know.
they were 3 and 13.
I would
for
say
a
if they're
reason.
going to have to give up 2 or 3 first-round draft picks, I'm only going to do that if Kevin Costner and Jennifer Garner are involved in Chadwick Boseman.
Love that movie. So much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What was the name of
I
that
would
movie?
give up.
What was the name of that movie?
Draft Day.
Draft Day. I'm only doing it because who can turn pixie dust into a first-round pick and all your picks back and got the player they wanted
It's
and
a
kept
movie.
the quarterback they wanted,
It's a movie.
and then Jennifer Garner and Kevin Costner get married. I mean, if that all happens, it's a good trade. If not, leave that shit for television.
Well, I can tell you this: if I'm Miami,
Bad
I'm making
move.
the NFL tell me it's a great move because you
Bad move.
completely turn your franchise around. You have a franchise quarterback. When's the last time the Dolphins had a franchise quarterback? Dan Marino?
They thought they were going to turn it around when they stole Jacoby Bledsoe from the Colts.
Chad Pennington.
His name is. Hey, Chad Pennington was a damn good quarterback.
Yeah, if you were throwing within 20 yards of the line of scrimmage,
that's
sure.
absolutely asinine to say that. I mean, it really is when you look at the man's stats and what he did.
When you think of Chad Pennington, do you think of someone who can stretch the field vertically? No. You think of someone who's going to dump it off and throw sidearm or suck.
Really?
Oh, great. He had a good completion percentage. All I remember seeing Jets games, it would be 3rd and 5, and they would throw a 4-yard out. And Chad Pennington, little dump offs, little dinky passes.
Wasn't his number 16? Was Pennington's number 16?
No. Chad Pennington played
what was it?
Chad Pennington played 6 years in the NFL as a starting quarterback. And in those 6 years, threw for 18,000 yards.
Cool.
And his yards per completion for his career was 11. That is not a low number. His yards per attempt is 6.9, which is not, that's an average.
And Dan Marino broke every passing record in the NFL and still never won a Super Bowl.
What's that got to do with anything?
His stats don't mean crap. Wins. Well,
the thing is this, Chad Pennington did win. Dan Marino did win. Dan Marino wasn't on a team.
Didn't win what mattered.
He couldn't. The team was not good enough. You're one of these people that thinks just because the quarterback's good, he should win a Super Bowl.
I'm looking at Chad Pennington's stats, and I am just underwhelmed entirely.
Are you underwhelmed?
Why are we talking about? Why do we talk about these?
I know. Why are we talking about Chad Pennington? Move on.
I know. Why are you talking about these? Chad Pennington, Keenum, Garoppolo.
Yeah, and Garoppolo is a winner, and that's good too. Dude, you're a freaking Lions.
He wasn't a winner last week.
He wasn't.
And he's not going to win this week. What's the next game?
Actually, they will win this week.
You know what? I buy the Dolphins being into Watson, and they should trade everything they can for him because they're going to do it anyway.
And the thing is this: if they keep the draft picks, they've already proven they can't evaluate talent.
Nope.
So why not do it?
Do it live.
And I think they need to trade Xavier Howard to the Cincinnati Bengals.
Or just get rid of him. Trading to the Bengals.
Trade rid of Bengals. Give them him and Awuzie as the corners, and Jesse Bates and Bond Hall as the safeties, and we'll call it a wrap and win a Super Bowl.
That's it, baby.
All right. Next up, the Carolina Panthers at the Atlanta Falcons. I can't believe I'm saying this stuff and not even laughing. The Falcons are favored by 3 points. The Falcons have played a lot better lately, and the thing that strikes me about them, Dan, is they're a lot funner to watch now. You know, you've got Kyle Pitts, you got Matt Ryan, Cordell Patterson. This is a team that's kind of fun to watch right now. When you look at the Panthers, Sam Darnold's kind of regressed back to the Jets days without Christian McCaffrey to rely upon. I'm going to take the Falcons here and give the points, Dan.
You know, I want to do the same. I really, really do. And you're right. The Falcons are a lot more fun to watch lately because, well, Kyle Pitts is the first rookie tight end to post back-to-back 100-yard receiving games, I think, since 1950. I'll have to look up the stat. I had it written down somewhere here, but still. Oh, wait, no, yeah, here it is. Kyle Pitts since Raymond Chester in 1970 with the Raiders. First rookie tight end with back-to-back 100-yard receiving games. That's my boy out of Florida. I'm a big Gators fan. And it's nice to see him doing what he's doing. It's nice to see them get him the rock the last couple of weeks. Hopefully he keeps this going. And the big surprise for me on that offense has been Cordero Patterson just completely taking over the backfield duties there. And he's becoming, and it has been thus far, one of the better dual threat running backs in the NFL thus far this season. And in fantasy, he is playing out of his mind. And the Panthers, on the flip side, they just look like a disaster. It's crazy how much can change in just a few weeks. They look so good earlier in the season. Darnold looks so much better out of New York, away from Gase. His passing was still hit or miss, but you could see the talents there, and he wasn't turning the ball over, and they were winning games. Now they're on a 3 or 4 game losing streak. Darnold looks awful. He had 111 passing yards last week and 1 interception. They actually pulled him for P.J. Walker, who was somehow just worse in every possible way. That team just looks bad. I don't think Christian McCaffrey coming back is going to do a damn thing. It's disappointing because they got some talent and their defense is young and looked good early on, and they got pieces at receiver. They got to get it together out there in Carolina. I don't want to pick Atlanta because this feels like a typical game where you pick Atlanta and they shit the bed. But I'm going to go with Atlanta too, and I'm going to regret it instantly.
All right, before we get to what everybody's waiting for, which is Steve Grizzly's selection on this game, I want to bring up the fact that betting.net finds the best promotions, discounts, and bonus codes so you don't have to. Head over to their website now to take advantage of things like free bets and matching deposits. So check out betting.net. Steve Grizzly, what do you got?
Yeah, I think Atlanta's having their heyday right now, mid-season, and they're playing well. They're due for a couple of good games, then they'll revert back toward the end of the season. But Carolina, this is like team right now with two ships passing in the dark. One's going south and one's going north.
I think one's going south and one's going east. I don't think.
Yeah, that's a better analogy, right? It ain't like anybody's really heading north, but exactly. But at this point, I think Atlanta at home without McCaffrey, I think that team just lacks his heart as much as they lack anything. And so I'm gonna take Atlanta and give up the 3 points, and then go ahead, Dan. I apologize.
No, I'm sorry to interrupt. I got really excited for no reason, but I was just looking over Matt Ryan's stats because I had heard that Arthur Smith, the head coach for Atlanta, had called Matt Ryan the most underappreciated quarterback in the league. And at the surface, you hear that and you think it's just coach speak. The head coach
he's right.
Backing up his quarterback who led the team to a Super Bowl and all that. But you know what? I'm looking at his stats. I thought about it, and he's right. Yeah.
And his stats are always like that. No matter how bad the team is, the stats are always there.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that this team was winning 7-8 games. He was still
just signed Falco.
Falco? You mean for the movie? You mean for the movie The Replacement?
Yeah. Well, they should sign that guy, Keanu Reeves. Who signed Flacco?
Keanu Reeves.
Joe Flacco got traded
to us people that know him personally.
Joe Flacco got traded to the Jets. Joe Flacco is going to start for the Jets. I think Joe Flacco should have started where he was at in Philadelphia, though.
Well, that's another conversation. That's another convo for another day. But no, I just want to give Matt Ryan some love because the man is totally underappreciated. He gets no love out in Atlanta, and he's done some special things statistically with them. And, yeah, let's go Atlanta.
Hey, without the coaches crapping the bed in that Super Bowl, he'd have a Super Bowl ring, and everybody would look at him completely different.
That's right. That's right. You're not wrong.
All right, Steve, did you pick this game yet?
Yeah, I took Atlanta.
All right, next up, we got the Grizzly special, the Tennessee Titans at the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts are favored by 1. I think the big question to me, Steve, is how much do the Titans have left after back-to-back performances against the Bills and the Chiefs that were great? The Colts are hot. They're coming back home. This is a huge divisional game. I think it's safe to say this is a must-win for the Colts to stay in this divisional race, or they're going to fall a couple games behind. What do you think here, Steve? Tennessee at the Colts. Colts favored by 1.
Well, I think this. First off, I want to say if you take the time to read Twitter, you see that sandwiched in between the number 1 top 8 takeaways from this week in the NFL done by the Grueling Truth is the Joe Burrow Love Fest done by the author. Number 3 is the demise of KC's quarterback, Patrick Mahomes. Sandwich in here at number 2 is the rise of the Indianapolis Colts. Am I right, Mike?
Yeah.
Yeah, I read your story. And
you learned how to read, Steve? Usually Indiana University graduates don't learn that.
I know. We took remedial reading, So we got
basket weaving, or was that Ohio State?
That was Ohio State.
Right,
no, we took billiards and bowling and art appreciation.
I was at Indiana State. I took tennis.
Yeah, I should have taken tennis. I probably would have. Yeah. Anyway, I think I don't know why, because I didn't watch much of the Tennessee game, because Chase Elliott was on his way to a second-place finish and securing
This
himself.
is a sports show, Steve. Save
as
that
a-
for Survive
as
in
a
Advance.
good,
I'll throw you a bone. We'll do
lock into
Survive in
the
Advance
Final Four.
tomorrow, and I'll let you talk about it if you don't
No,
talk
we're
about
not
it
doing
anymore
Survivor
right
Advance
now.
tomorrow because we were supposed to do Survivor Advance on Monday,
But I
and
never
somebody
heard a
didn't
message
set
from
it
you.
up. So your bullshit about Survivor Advance, that show's defunct.
Okay, well, I'll do it myself then.
Do it yourself.
Do it live.
Since you don't want to do it.
No, I want to do it.
You never texted me Monday morning.
It's not
You
my
can
job to
do
wipe
it.
your ass.
I told you Monday. If it
You're the one that's being paid by the owners of this website to do the programming.
Yeah, and the program is being done when it needs to be done.
I'm a free slave working for you.
You're a free slave working for me.
Mm-hmm.
Mike laying down the law. The work
Anyway,
is done
back
when it
to
gets
it.
done. Legend.
I don't know why, but Derrick Henry only runs for 83 yards. I don't know if that was because a stellar defense was thrown upon him, or
That's
he's
because
just getting a little tired from carrying the weight.
Dude, they
of that
put 8,
football
9 guys in a box and dared Tannehill to beat him, and he did.
Yo, that's because AJ Brown ran wild last week. That's why.
Well, okay, but the Colts defense was kind of like a soft cement early in the year, and they're kind of starting to harden a little bit.
Damn, Steve, they take longer to harden than you do.
Check, please. We're done. We're done here.
Yeah, I know.
That was
I
so
don't know
easy.
why I
That
put
was
up
awesome.
with this.
I
I
know.
really don't need this in my life. I think that Carson Wentz continues. I mean, the guy ran for 26 important yards against the 40. I don't think the 49ers were poised to play that game. I think Garoppolo had a horrendous game for him. I don't know if it was
First
the weather.
game in almost a month, and the weather. And
the weather. So I can't really get a good gauge on where the Colts are. I like the fact that the defense is sharpening up a little bit. They're not bending as much. They've got what's their lineman's name? I'm dropping the brain right now.
Quentin Nelson.
Nelson's back. They're opening holes. They finally are able to score from first and goal on the 2-yard line now, which they hadn't done all year. And Carson Wentz is starting to play more forward football. I call it forward football, where he's starting to look for receivers downfield. It'd be nice to have T.Y. Hilton back in the mix, but I think that guy's just paycheck. He's just a paycheck dweller now to me. That guy's hurt more times than I can talk about, and he just gets nice paychecks and misses seasons. And how long the Colts are going to let that crap go on is beyond me, because they need to bring a good receiver in there, a deep threat that the Colts could use, because Carson's got the arm. I decided about 2 weeks ago, when I've lost my ass the first 3 weeks, on not taking the Colts because of either the spread or a missed field goal here or there. I'm not going to bet against the Colts again this year. So, out of stupidity or out of a good judgment, Mike, I'm sure you'll let me know what I'm making here, but I'm taking the Colts and giving up the points. It's at Indianapolis. It's an important game for the Colts, more so than it is for Tennessee. Although Tennessee doesn't want to give the Colts any room to breathe.
I think it's equally important for both teams.
Steve. Yeah, that's probably a fairer assessment than what I said.
A Tennessee win, and you're basically 3 games behind.
3 games
they
behind.
Beat you twice.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think the Colts realize that too. My biggest concern really is Frank Reich just not getting too conservative. When he lets Carson air it out, and you get Jonathan Taylor, 2 100 games in a row now. The guy's starting to run the ball. The line's starting to open holes for him. I like the Colts in this game. I think they're in one of the up and coming teams in the NFL. I don't know that I would call them Super Bowl material yet.
No, they're a playoff contender.
They're a playoff contender for sure, but they got a ways to go. They're still 2 games behind Tennessee, and I'm going to take the Colts and give up the point.
All right. When I look at this, I think the issue is the Indianapolis defense, and I think this is going to be a game where Ryan Tannehill wins the game, because Derrick Henry will be Derrick Henry, and just by standing on the field, Derrick Henry makes it much easier for his quarterback to be able to have a big game. I'm going to take Tennessee. It wouldn't surprise me if the Colts win. I think the game's a toss-up. I think that's why you see a point spread of -1. And Tennessee's been red hot lately. And against anybody else, I may pick against them just because of that. But here, I think with a divisional game of this importance, I think the Titans will show up ready to play. If the Titans win this game, I think they are a legitimate Super Bowl contender because it's hard to defend Derrick Henry and those wide receivers and quarterback all at the same time. But the defense has got to continue to progress or they don't have much of a chance doing that. But I think what we've seen so far is they are progressing slowly over the last few weeks. I'm going with the Titans, Dan.
Yeah,
Dan, before you get in, Mike, I just say this. If I wasn't a dyed-in-the-wool Colts fan, I would be betting like you're betting because I just think Tennessee's got a bigger armamentarium than the Colts do at this point in the season. But because I am a dyed-in-the-wool Colts fan, I think the game is that close. It's a pick-em game, and I'm going to pick the Colts.
All right.
But we already talked about that, so go ahead, Dan. I apologize.
Well,
Dan.
hold on. Let's get Jeff Novotny in. He said, I went 6-1 against the spread. I always post on Facebook Sunday morning and 3-1 the week before. I always take post down next day. My friends take the games. I get tips. Your show and notes helped. I don't always agree, and that is human nature. Hold on here. Let's see. I had the Titans, Patriots, Bucks, Raiders, Colts, lost on the Panthers, Giants, took New Orleans and pushed as well. I talk you guys up. Thank you. All right. Thanks for listening, Jeff. Thanks for the compliment. And go ahead, Dan. Who do you like?
Hey, Jeff, I'm sure I'm the one that screwed you up more than anybody, buddy. So whatever you do, don't listen to me. Listen to these two. Well,
hey,
listen to Mike.
We're all over
listen
5.
to Mike. Just listen to Mike and just put Dan in my category. So
hold on. No, you know what, Steve? Give yourself some credit, all right? Because Mike says every week how you never finish above him. You're not quite right.
And when he does, it's by a game.
You know what? You finished above Mike last week.
Yes, you did.
You had 8 games correct, and Mike had 7. So you know what? No, you are just as.
It's an anomaly. It's like the O-rings failing on the space shuttle. It's an absolute anomaly. It blowed up in his face, but it's an anomaly.
All right, Dan, Tennessee, Indy.
Anyway, thanks, Jeff, for the nice note.
Even a blind squirrel can find a nut, right, Steve?
Yeah, and I found one this week if I could beat Mike by 1 game.
I'm
going to go home, and I'm going to have dessert tonight. I don't usually eat dessert.
You're already home, Steve.
Oh, yeah, I am, aren't I? Never mind.
Steve doesn't know where he is. That old folks' home.
I'm in California. Nobody knows where they are in California.
Hey, is the gas really $7 a gallon there?
I paid $5.45 per gallon.
Damn.
Because I have this Hemi engine in my truck with a V8 500 horsepower engine. I have to put Shell V-Power in it, and that's $5.50 a gallon. Pump it yourself.
Crazy. Gross.
Yeah. Welcome to California.
Right,
and you know what? The whole southern half of Los Angeles is nothing but oil refineries.
Go figure.
Who knows what's going on in the world? Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Tennessee. I have a lot of questions about
Standing alone.
Indy looks good at certain points, but this past week was ugly. They looked like they didn't really know what they were doing on offense. It was give Jonathan Taylor the ball.
Who?
And then,
the Colts?
Yeah, it was give Jonathan Taylor the ball and then.
Well, the guy runs for 100 yards 2 games in a row. What the hell else do you want to do?
No.
What does Tennessee do? They give Derek Thomas the ball. That's the most asinine thing I've ever heard you say.
The most asinine thing I've ever heard is you said Derek Thomas instead of Derrick Henry. Go ahead.
Derrick Henry. Derek Thomas did the news in Indianapolis for a long time.
Well, Steve, you were mentioning how T.Y. Hilton's been injured, and when he plays, he's been not quite right, and they need a deep threat because Wentz has got an arm and whatever.
Right.
And you're right. Wentz can push it downfield, unlike a guy like Jacoby Brissett and Phillip Rivers and stuff like that. So
Jacoby Brissett could push the ball downfield. It just usually was to the babe in the 4th row in the end zone.
But no, with the Colts, their offense was ugly, is what I'm trying to say. Their passing.
I didn't think so. I thought their offense looked efficient, playing in that kind of rain.
Their
Yeah,
passing
I
game,
think the rain takes away any.
A lot of
criticism
their,
the
a
offense.
lot of that was
It's hard to
rain
get
driven.
any kind of rhythm when you've got weather
Right.
like that.
And I thought the Colts handled that, well, obviously better than did San Francisco. But I just think Garoppolo, and I'm still a Jimmy Garoppolo fan. I still think the guy's going to be a good quarterback in the NFL. But
well,
I think
he has
Colts,
like 25-11 as a starter. Go ahead. Steve.
Yeah. So go ahead, Dan.
but yeah, no, I was gonna say they need to find more consistency in a passing game. They're not going to be.
It's coming.
They're not going to be a true contender until Wentz can show that he can do it on a week-to-week basis in this offense.
I don't think this is
aside from playing
necessarily
against
Wentz.
Baltimore.
I don't think this is necessarily against Wentz. I think this is more the receivers that they don't have for him.
Right. And the offense the coach runs, too. They don't run a lot of deep stuff. They try and use their tight ends a lot and throw under coverage and let them run. They try and do that, but like Mike said, they just don't feel confident in the deep threats they have. And they got to get T.Y. back, but T.Y.'s got to want to come back.
And actually, he's actually on the list this week, the injured list, questionable for this week.
Yeah,
but
well,
Steve, one rumor that's been floating around here in New York on the radio stations and stuff like that is Evan Ingram, the tight end for the Giants, is on the trade block, and the Colts are named as one of the teams that are most interested in.
Evan Ingram has been a bust, correct?
Evan Ingram has been a bust in New York. Giants fans hate that guy because on one play,
but with any quarterback playing for the Giants right now, wouldn't most tight ends be a bust?
Nah, it doesn't matter who the quarterback is for the last few years.
All right.
To be
Daniel
honest,
Jones is not terrible. You're
right.
That's
not unfair.
Very good.
But yeah, no, I'm like on one play, Evan Ingram will look like a top 5 tight end. He's athletic. He's smooth. He's got a big body.
You know what this is, Dan? Looks like Tarzan, plays like Jane.
That's the one. And then on the very next play, he'll be wide open by himself in the end zone.
Well,
catch the ball like a damn professional, and it'll hit him in the face mask.
If
and
that's,
no one will be near him for 5 yards.
If that's the case, what the Colts need more than anything is consistency and not big play rays. They need somebody who can come out and get it done 99% of the time. And I think Jonathan Tedder is that kind of a running back.
Yeah.
For his guy's just getting better with every freaking game he plays. And now that Quentin Nelson's back, that left side of that offense, boy, they can punch holes. And they're good. And I can say this, Mike, I do read your top 8 takeaways all the time. And I was thrilled to see you say the Colts number 2 in the top 8. And
well,
even
there's no order there. It's just whatever.
No, I know. Okay, well, shut up. I'm living in my fantasy world.
Okay, go
Let
ahead.
him live.
Okay, let me live there for a minute while we're on the show. For Mike to make a comment or compliment the fact that Wentz is improving, and yet still only throws for 211 yards, tells you that he's seeing Carson Wentz's stock go up. Because let's face it, he didn't have a Joe Burrow day.
Hey, this is the thing, I've always liked Carson Wentz, but the issue of Carson Wentz
Can he stay healthy?
Is he going to stay healthy?
Right.
I mean, he's a top 10 quarterback if he's completely healthy all the time.
Right.
But he's not.
And his mind's right.
And Mike, you don't.
Is right.
That's my concern with Tua in Miami, too. It's just the injuries.
Right. You don't know how much us diehard Colts fans, much like you with Joe Burrow, cringe every time we saw Wentz take off downfield to try and pick up a first down. It's like, no, just go down. We'll punt the ball. Slide down.
All right, guys.
He put his head down first sometimes, trying to and he got the first down. So
my wife bet me this show would last more than an hour when I told her not more than an hour, and this is going to last more than an hour unless we go really quick here.
All right, I'm sorry, I'm done.
I'm done too. There's no way
I'm taking the Colts.
Games in 6 minutes. All right, the Rams at the Texans. Texans plus 14.5. Let's do this like this. Does anybody want to take the Texans?
No.
Steve?
No.
And me, no. Next up, the Cincinnati Bengals at the New York Jets. The Jets are getting 9.5 points. Dan, what do you think?
Wait, it still says Rams Texans.
Yeah, put the next game
I'm
up.
switching it.
Come on, Mike.
Come on, Mike.
Get it together.
I forgot the Dan.
I'm going to report you to bet.com.
You don't even know what it is, and it's betting.net, the place to find out where to go bet legally. Go ahead, Dan, before you were rudely interrupted, Dan.
I am going to go with Cincinnati. They,
Right.
of course, like I said earlier, they're coming off of a complete and utter domination of Baltimore. I have said this before. I will say it again, and I will continue to say it as the weeks go on. I am not easily impressed. Okay? I'm not. I find a lot of things in all aspects of life, not just sports, just unimpressive or mediocre. It's very difficult to impress me. But Cincinnati is impressive, man. They're looking so damn good on both sides of the ball. They can run it with Mixon. They can pass it at will. Chase.
Jamar Chase has already won Rookie of the Year. If he doesn't play another down, he should win it.
Chase has got that locked up. He doesn't even have to keep doing what he's doing. He doesn't even have to stay on the trajectory that he's currently on, because that is something legendary. What the trajectory he's on currently, the pace he's on right now, something real special. He's coming off of a 200-yard game, another touchdown. This guy's, I mean, the chemistry that Burrow and Chase have with one another. Good. I don't watch a lot of Bengals.
Hey Dan, give it a couple years until Justin Jefferson decides he wants to reunite with him.
Yeah. And then Mike woke up and had to change his plans because
is that far out of the realm of possibility though in the NFL?
I do think that's out of the realm of possibility because we know how historically cheap the Bengals owners are.
That's just wrong. They're not historically cheap. They historically spend money on the wrong things. If you look at them, salary cap wise, they are usually in the top 10 to 15 on money spent. They just don't normally spend the money right. This year they did. I mean, you got Hendrickson at defensive end, who's having a Pro Bowl season.
Good.
You've got
Trey Waynes.
Trey not as big a deal, but they brought a Woozy in, which was a great signing. He's a great corner. DJ Reader, who they brought in last year. I mean, they brought in free agents here. And Riley Reef, who's a guy that doesn't get mentioned, but Riley Reef is one of the better right tackles in football, I think. And he's graded out very well, and there's almost never an issue coming from Reef's side.
And I'll tell you what, that is disappointing to hear as a Lions fan because he was a Lions first-round pick. He played for the Lions for the beginning portion of his career, and he was above average. He was good, not great. Wasn't anything special, but he was definitely a solid starter while he was with us. And then he went to Cincinnati, and I think last year Reef didn't have a good year.
I think you just described Steve Risley's college basketball career too.
What's that now?
I think you just explained Steve's basketball career. Solid.
But not spectacular?
I don't know. He won a national championship. That's pretty spectacular. Where's your ring, Dan?
I don't got one.
Yeah. All right, Grizzly. You got a ring. Tell us who's going.
I just want to make one comment.
I'm done.
The scariest part about the Cincinnati Bengals is they're getting better every week. That's a football team that's improving weekly. And that makes them very scary. And I agree with Mike. They are a Super Bowl contender right now. Now, the fact that they're young and haven't been there may bite them a little bit. I don't know. Right now, it's not showing that.
It probably will, Steve. I mean, to me, I would compare it.
So, but anyway, I'm taking the Bengals. I would taking the Bengals. So
I would compare it like 1999 with the Titans. The Titans and the Colts, where the Colts went 13-3, but to get to the playoffs, you had a veteran Titans team.
They're just too young.
Yeah, it didn't turn out. But also, there's no team like that Titans team in the AFC this year, I don't think. I think Buffalo's very good, but Buffalo doesn't run the ball that well. And if you're going to play a AFC championship game in Buffalo or Cincinnati, and you're the team with the running game and the other team doesn't, I like your chances there. So,
and you know what? As much as I don't want to make this seem like a Cincinnati Bengals, fan fest.
But it should to make up for the last 5 years.
Well, no, I agree with Mike. It should be.
No, you're right. It should be because credit should be given where credit's due.
Right.
Their offense looks amazing. Their defense Their defense looks even better.
The defense to me is very, very good. The offense is very, very average, with the exception of Chase. Now, what I think is going to happen here, though, is you haven't seen a lot of deep balls to Chase until you get in second halves of games. I think where this takes off, and they become a Super Bowl contender, when Zach Taylor becomes not afraid to attack from the beginning of the game. I think when he does that, I think you're going to see an offense that'll be better than what the Chiefs was the last couple of years, because I think Tyreek Hill's a stud and he's fast. He's not Jamar Chase.
I mean, that's a damn bold statement.
It's not. I mean, you watch him play. Jamar Chase runs better routes, catches the ball better.
Tyreek Hill, in most circles, is considered a top 3 to
and he is.
Top
Jamar
5
Chase
wide receiver in the league.
Jamar Chase is the number 1 receiver in the league right now. Look at the stats.
Statistically, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Touchdowns aren't stats.
Stats
are for losers, but when you look at what's he got in the touchdown area here? 7, 6,
8,
something like that?
Something
8?
like that.
Yeah,
something
what a
like
game
that,
from a wide receiver is unheard of if your name's not Jerry Rice.
I will say this: Steve, Mike, you said that Cincinnati's offense is
average compared to what it can be.
Okay, you say that, but they've averaged over 30 points per game over the last month.
They really haven't. They've averaged over 30 a game because they just scored 41.
Okay, sure. Okay,
this was the first game they scored. The last 2 games were the first games they even scored over 24 points in a game. That's why I say they've been average.
And Steve said they're getting better every week.
Yes. So that's what I'm saying. This can be a lot better than what it is offensively, and I think that's what the scary part is.
And they've got 3 solid receivers: Chase, Higgins, and Boyd. That's a solid 1, 2, 3.
CJ Uzomah has played out of his mind this year at tight end.
That he has. Mixon in the backfield.
Mixon and the kid from Michigan. I always forget his name, but I think he's going to be an absolute stud. Chris Evans. Samaje Perine. He had a 48-yard touchdown run, even though you trashed him a couple weeks ago. And I told you he was good, and then he tore your team up, and he tore her Ravens up. Next up, I'm picking the Bengals also. I'm not comfortable with the 9.5 points, but I am more comfortable when I look at who the Jets have playing at quarterback. We've got the San Francisco 49ers at the Chicago Bears. The Bears are getting 3.5 points. To me, this game's an ass-kicking. San Francisco wins it. Steve?
Plus 3.5. No, you still have, Chicago plus 3.5.
Yeah.
I agree. San Francisco. I think Garoppolo is going to come out. Garoppolo is going to come out of his funk. And Chicago's just has shown really no consistent fortitude in them. What they've had moments, but no consistent fortitude. I think San Francisco, better football team.
I mean, hell, the Bears have beaten the Raiders on the road, and they beat the Bengals. But then the rest of the season has been a mess.
Yeah, they've had moments. Like I said, what I just said. So I think San Francisco just is a better football team, and will come out of their funk, get Garoppolo healthy again, get him running that offense, and you still got Bosa. You still got a defense that's solidly anchored, and
I don't think it is. I think this. I think San Francisco's done. Stick a fork in them. The difference is they're playing Chicago.
Yeah, well, you're talking about mediocre games that nobody cares about. Talking about a playoff contending teams.
Well, no, you're not, but we still got to pick them all. Dan, who do you like here?
So you both took San Francisco?
Easily. Yeah. Only an idiot would pick the Bears.
Yeah, I'm going to go with San Francisco very reluctantly.
Wow, way to be goaded into that one. Good job, Mike.
I'm going to go with San Francisco very reluctantly. And Chicago, let's be honest, Chicago hasn't looked good at all.
There's going to be no Khalil Mack, too. So
the brightest spot.
Is he out?
Yeah, he's probably going to be out.
Biggest disappointment in the NFL.
He is out.
5 years.
He is out. Okay. I mean, it's their defense. Chicago's defense was supposed to be one of the better defenses in the league, and it is not quite right. Their offense we knew was work in progress, but no David Montgomery, which is a huge
Dude,
loss.
it doesn't matter. Your offense is going to suck as long as you have Justin Fields at quarterback.
And that sucks because I really liked Fields coming out, but their offensive line.
Why would you like a guy coming out that can't go to a second or third read in college? What makes you think he can do it in the NFL?
When's Trubisky due back?
Trubisky's better than Justin Fields.
Honestly, when it came to Fields coming out of Ohio State, I saw a lot of a baby Desean Watson in college. In that he was able to extend the play and he played in a professional way. He didn't look to scramble. He didn't look to do something crazy and whatever. He played within the scope of the offense, and he's got the physical talent you look for.
But what you got to understand is this: the scope of the Ohio State offense: first read, second read, run. That's it. And if you watch him, he holds onto the ball too long. Same thing as Dwayne Haskins. All these guys have the same issue because they run a college offense, not an NFL offense. I will give you this. Ohio State has a man right now that will be an NFL quarterback and be successful, and that's C.J. Stroud. Because if you watch him, and the bad thing is Buckeye fans have bitched about him all year, but C.J. Stroud looks guys off, throws the ball back the other way. He moves well in the pocket with just a slight movement here or there to get open to throw the ball. There's no chance in hell Justin Fields is ever going to be a big-time NFL quarterback. The Chicago Bears still haven't had a quarterback since Sid Luckman.
Mike, I don't think the Ohio State fans bitched about the Ohio State quarterback against IU.
They haven't bitched the last couple weeks.
Yeah. They didn't bitch against IU.
Well, you don't have to bitch when you play IU.
We're finding that out.
All right. So who'd you pick, Dan? You got that. All right, next up, we've got Geno Smith against Trevor Lawrence. This is a classic matchup. Jacksonville and Seattle 3.5. This line's way too small. Seattle's still all right with Geno Smith. Nothing great, but they're playing at home. They're playing Jacksonville. I'm going to take the Seahawks, and I'm going to give the points, Dan.
I'm going to go with Jacksonville.
Thanks, Dan.
I'm going to go with Jacksonville because Seattle's not a good football team.
Neither's Jacksonville, Dan.
Neither is Jacksonville, but I'd rather have Trevor Lawrence with the potential of him having a couple of big plays, with also the potential of turning the ball over a couple of times, very ugly, like a Daniel Jones type-esque game. But Geno Smith is the definition of mediocrity. That offense has taken an absolute nosedive. And I'm going to look past the injuries at running back because this team has survived injuries at running back in the past. Penny has never been one of the most durable players. Carson has never been a durable player. He's not going to play 16 games. We get it. Alex Collins isn't nobody special at running back, but at least he's had his moments the last few weeks. He's coming off injury. He looked very bad last week for the Seahawks. But the Seahawks offense is extremely limited. Their defense is no good.
Neither is Jacksonville. But that's what I mean. Both teams suck. I'm just going with the home team. Steve.
Yo, their home field doesn't even matter anymore. The 13th man isn't what
against Jacksonville. It's the
13th
12th man
isn't what it was.
Man.
The 12th man, sorry. The 12th man isn't what it was when beast mode was rumbling for touchdowns in the playoffs. It's not quite what it was back then.
All right, you're going to let Steve pick this game. Go ahead, Steve. I'm sorry for how rude
A couple of observations from Seattle. It's amazing to me, and maybe this is a fallacy and a flaw with the league, how much losing one player like your quarterback just alters a football team. I don't think that any one player should have that much of an effect on a football team. But when they lost Russell, that team just went from a dangerous football team you don't want to play, possible playoff, to the shit house.
Yeah.
And so to me, it tells me, is that a flaw in the league? Because we're just protecting these quarterbacks so much that they're given free rein to stand back there, and if you swat at their head, that's considered an intentional attempt to headbutt them, and you're given 15 yards. for unsportsmanlike conduct. You don't have to hit them anymore. Just swat at their head.
I've never
and
seen
miss
that
it.
call. But
Well, I'm probably exaggerating.
I think
embellishing
this,
a little
Steve,
bit.
there's no way to fix backup quarterback sucking because half of the starters suck.
Well, I no, it's not that the backups suck. It's the fact
They
that
do,
by
though.
taking out a quarterback alters the complexity of a team. Just kind of like, to me, and I know you guys are going to blast me on this, but I think 50% of the biggest downfall of Kansas City is Mahomes just isn't playing like Mahomes right now. He's not.
You know what? It's
and
funny
look how Kansas City has gone from the darling team in the NFL, the next alleged dynasty, which Mike has rightfully so pointed out, to where they're just a mediocre fucking 2-6 or 3-5
the thing is
football
this:
team.
they're a team
Hold on,
with
hold on.
Andy
Wait,
Reid
wait,
that has
wait.
ignored their defense.
Yeah,
Hold on.
and I know there are other reasons there, but I'm just saying by losing one player in an 11-man roster alters the makeup of a
It's
football
always
team.
been like that, Steve.
I know. Well, no.
Yeah, it has.
When Sonny Jurgensen went down, Billy Killer came in
Dude,
and
no,
won
you
Super
can't
Bowl.
give that shit. No, they didn't.
Why? He
Never win a
did.
Super Bowl. He didn't win a Super Bowl.
Who, Kilmer?
Yeah. They lost
sure about
14-7 to the Miami Dolphins in Super Bowl 7.
He got to the Super Bowl.
He lost, and you said
None of
it
those
matters
teams
if
are
you
even
win.
going to get to the playoffs.
I'm sorry, Steve, but you're giving an exception to the
All right.
rule. If you go back to 1973, any other team falls apart. The team that
Who
didn't
does
fall
Flacco
apart,
step in for to win the Super Bowl when who was their
didn't.
starting quarterback that went
he
down?
didn't. He didn't.
When Baltimore went down, he wasn't their
didn't.
starting quarterback.
He
He
was
came
the
in as a
starter.
sub.
Hey, Steve, stop.
He did, didn't he, Dan?
Stop, Steve. He was not a sub. He was the first-round draft pick. He started right away. He went and he won the Super Bowl.
I don't think so. Jim Plunkett coming in for Bledsoe.
Huh? Jim Plunkett coming in for Bledsoe.
Yeah.
You
I'm
mean
the one
Tom
who's
Brady?
drinking, but Steve, are you drunk?
No, I don't drink.
Tom Brady came in for Drew Bledsoe.
That's
Jim
the one.
Plunkett replaced Dan Pastorini in 1980 after Pastorini broke his leg in Week 4 against the
All right,
Washington
well,
Redskins.
anyway, that's my point there. Is I just think I think we've gotten to the point of protecting these quarterbacks so much, and they become so valuable to an offense.
Because they are.
I rightfully yes, yes, but no, you should be able to backfill in if you have 10 other players around there that can still punch holes, receivers that can still get open, and if
But
you
got to have
can't
a
deliver a
quarterback that can
pass,
throw in the ball.
if you cannot deliver a pass to a receiver in the NFL, you shouldn't be making $5 million a year playing backup quarterback.
Well, I don't think there's too many backups making $5 million a year, but go ahead, Dan.
I think Don Strock is still making $5 million a year.
I hate to tell you this, but Don Strock would have been a starter on half the teams in the NFL. when he was
Exactly.
backing for Miami.
That's my point.
Go ahead, Dan.
You know, Steve said something very interesting, and for me, he said Mahomes isn't doing Mahomes things. It's funny when you say that because you're a damn legend
Oh, God.
when people say, "Oh, this player isn't doing what we're used to seeing him do." You say that, but he's 4th in the league in passing yards.
Oh, here we
He's
go with this
3rd in passing touchdowns. The only difference is instead of getting away with the tomfoolery that he's been getting away with, the backyard plays where he just runs around and throws it across the field like every quarterback who's ever played, even in Pop Warner, they teach you, don't run all the way to the right and throw all the way to the left. Don't throw across the field. Well, you know what? He does whatever he wants, and he'll throw it on a line, a bullet, 40 yards downfield.
All right, so what you're saying is confirming what Steve said.
No. I was just saying the only difference is he's still putting up the stats. He's still
He's
throwing
not.
touchdowns.
He's
He's
really
still throwing
not.
the touchdowns. He's
really
still getting
not.
the yards.
Son of a bitch. The last 3 games, he's thrown 4 touchdown passes and 5 picks.
Well,
Grizzly
he would
is
do
right.
that in a half a year ago.
Grizzly
Or 2
is
years
right.
ago.
The difference is he's not getting away with things this
No, what
That's the only
what Mahomes is not doing is he's not winning.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah,
biggest
yeah,
thing
yeah,
he's not
that too.
doing.
He-
He's
they
not
ain't winning.
winning.
They ain't winning, and he's not getting away with the
Yeah.
foolery.
Anyway, so I just wanted to throw that out there. that I just think that this whole silliness of protecting quarterbacks has gotten out of hand.
I know. We should let them get maimed so they can get Lou Gehrig's disease and
They
die.
play football. Mike, football is a contact sport for all 11 players.
Steve, but you sit here and you say that you should be able to slap a quarterback in the head.
You shouldn't be able to slap any player in the head.
But you just complain.
No, I said that they slap it at him and miss him and still get it. You were going to try and slap him in the head. That's 15 yards.
I've never seen a penalty like that.
But if you were going to try to do that, that's 15 yards.
Dan, you ever seen a penalty like that?
Hold on, Steve.
Yeah.
Who was your pick, Seattle or Jacksonville?
I'm taking shit. Jeez. I so badly want to take Jacksonville.
We'll do it.
But I think Seattle's gonna win the game.
All right, next up.
I like Geno as a quarterback.
Next
he sucks, but I like him.
The New England Patriots at the LA Chargers. The Chargers are favored by 5.5, Dan.
I'm going to go with the Chargers in this game. I don't want to, only because they're so damn inconsistent. One week they look like they might be the best team in the AFC. The next week they look like they don't even belong in the playoffs and everything in between. But Justin Herbert, I'm going to stay on this young man. I've been talking about him all season. Justin Herbert's one of my favorite quarterbacks in the league. The Chargers are one of the better teams in the league. If they can be consistent. I need to see more from Austin Eckler. I need to see more overall from
You're missing the entire picture of this whole thing. The LA Chargers are inconsistent, and you're not a Super Bowl contender because you really can't be a Super Bowl contender if you can't stop the run.
In this game, though, are the Patriots that big of a threat?
Yeah, they were last week running the ball. I think when you look at this game, I think this is a lock of the week. I'm not saying the Patriots win, but 5.5 points is way too much. The Patriots defense will scheme to take away the big plays and force them to be patient and grinding with the attack. Herbert will throw a pick or two. I think the Chargers may win the game at the end. But I think the Patriots will stay in the game with their ability to run the ball because I don't care who is running the ball against the Chargers can't stop it. I think Herbert will be hard to stop. But remember this, last year with an even worse team, the Patriots went to LA and beat the Chargers 45-0. Herbert was completely lost. Herbert admitted against the Baltimore Ravens he was not prepared to play them 2 weeks ago. They got beat 31-6. He said they showed him things he'd never seen before. Justin Herbert is not a slam dunk stud in this league. And everybody keeps jumping on this, and I catch hell for it. I think he's a solid quarterback. He'll never be more than a solid quarterback because I think he has issues reading things. I think sometimes he holds on to the ball too long, and he has a tendency to force the ball down the field. I think they might win this game, but I'm taking the Patriots in 5.5 points all day long, Dan.
I'm going to respectfully disagree. I think Mac Jones has looked good because he hasn't had to win the game. But when it comes down to it,
well, wait a second. He won the game against Dallas. The defense lost it for him. He throws a touchdown pass with 30 seconds left, 75 yards, after throwing a pick six. That's a big-time quarterback. A big-time quarterback's a dude that comes back from a mistake like that and throws a touchdown. He didn't shrink up. Mac Jones is going to be a stud in this league. He'll be better than Trevor Lawrence. He'll be better than anybody that was drafted in this draft at quarterback.
Right now, he is the best quarterback in this class thus far this season.
And it will stay that way. It's what Bill Belichick did, not Urban Meyer.
The one thing I will say with the Patriots, the big injury is Jonathan Jones is going to be out, and he's out for the rest of the season with a shoulder injury. That's a huge loss for this defense. And I think it's one worth watching with the weapons that the Chargers have on the outside.
All right, Steve.
Why is New England playing at LA Clippers twice in 2 years in a row?
It's the LA Chargers. That's the way the schedule worked out.
SoFi. That's SoFi Stadium for you. If this game was above 7 points, I'd go New England altogether. But keeping it under 1 touchdown. I got to take the Chargers in this game.
Oh, no,
right,
I'm going to
next.
lose that game for sure because Steve picked them.
Next up, that was my
Hey,
plan all along.
Dan, do the letters F-O mean anything to you?
Not at all.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
All right, next up, Washington at Denver to rematch the Super Bowl 22. Denver's favored by 3.5. Both of
Kilmer
these
playing
teams
that game?
are horrible. No, that was John Elway against Doug Williams. This game's a mess. I'm telling you this. I'm going to take Washington because it's 3.5. If it was 3, I would take Denver. You got Tyler Heineke, Teddy Bridgewater. I mean, they've made their teams competitive at times, but, I don't know here. I think if either team had a legit quarterback, they would be a playoff team. I think Vic Fangio is going to get fired. I'm going to take Washington into 3.5 points here, though, Steve.
I'm going to take Denver. Mile High Stadium, playing in that altitude, still tends to affect players a little bit.
It didn't affect the Raiders.
At all.
No, well, the Raiders might have been a better football team all around,
they are.
but these two teams are pretty evenly matched.
As you would say, Steve, touche.
But I think that the altitude is worth at least 0.5 point, favoring Denver. So I'm going to go with Denver in this game.
All right, Dan.
I'm going to go with Washington. I don't really trust Washington because we came into the year that looking at that defense and thinking, well, that defense should be one of the better units.
I'm going to go with Washington because I really don't trust Washington.
I don't trust either.
That's
I don't.
Profound, straight statement.
I'm taking the points. That's it.
I don't trust either. But I thought Denver was going to be a sleeper pick. I love their defense. I thought Teddy Bridgewater would be, at the very least, a good game manager. Don't turn the ball over. You're not going to throw for 300 yards a game and score 30 points a game. But you know what? If you win 17-14 and you throw 1 touchdown, complete 67, 68% of your passes, no turnovers, no crazy sacks, you're going to win the game. That's what their recipe was going to be. But damn, they're just – Teddy Bridgewater is turning the ball over, and it's ugly. Their defense in Denver isn't quite right. I thought Washington was going to be a top 10 defense, but even their defense isn't quite right. It's an ugly game. I hate this line. I hate this matchup. But Denver minus 3.5, I don't think they're going to win by 4 points or a touchdown or whatever. They might win, but I'm gonna go with Washington on this line.
It takes you way too long to get your picks out sometimes, Dan. All right, guys, we got 2 games left to pick. Before we do that, make sure you check out betting.net. They're not just sports betting. Betting.net is also your gateway to the best online casinos. Sit back, relax, have fun with online slots, poker, or other table games. Make sure you check out betting.net. All right, Grizzly, Tampa Bay at New Orleans. The Saints are getting 4.5 points.
Tampa Bay.
Okay, Dan?
I'm going to go with Tampa Bay as well. They're stacked. Tom Brady's playing out of his mind. I can't believe he's, 100, and he's still playing like he's in his prime. Mike Evans, another big game last week. They didn't miss Antonio Brown at all. They don't miss Gronk at all. As long as Leonard Fournette is doing what he's doing at running back, Tom Brady's doing what he's doing at quarterback, their defense can do something special at any point. I think Tampa Bay's got too much here. New Orleans is just one of those teams I just don't trust either. Jameis Winston can throw 3 picks in a game and nobody will bat an eye and be like, oh, Jameis threw 3 picks? Oh, okay, it's a Jameis game.
All right, we're in the Department of Redundancy department right now.
Yes, we are.
Did anybody see the real quickly, Mike? Did you see the show ESPN2 with Peyton and Eli when they had Brady on?
Just for a minute, I didn't really care.
It was a good segment. It was really cool to see how much respect those guys have for each other.
Either that or they're just doing it because they're on TV together. And if
it
they're
might
jerks
be
to each other,
too.
it'll
Yeah,
look like
I
assholes.
know. Yeah, but it looked good on TV regardless.
All right, Tampa Bay, New Orleans.
And the other thing I was going to say before I was interrupted about Seattle, I'm going to tell you what. Manning was about one step away from getting Marshawn Lynch back on the field for Seattle.
What do you mean?
He was interviewing me. Lynch was on the show too.
Okay.
And he was talking to Lynch about getting him to come back and play.
Okay. All right, Tampa Bay at New Orleans. I got
Lynch
Marshall
said if
Lynch
it was Tampa Bay, he'd go.
Tampa Bay at New Orleans. I'm going to go Tampa Bay, but I almost want to take the Saints in the points. I think that Tampa Bay usually plays down to the competition in divisional home game or divisional away games. It's a rivalry game. I just don't trust Winston enough here. I'm going to go Tampa Bay. The last game of the week, the Dallas Cowboys at the Minnesota Vikings. Dan, there may be no Dak Prescott in this game.
I'm not worried about that.
I would, because if there's no Dak Prescott, they're not winning.
That's why the line is 2.5. If Dak Prescott was healthy or officially playing, there was no injury or questionable designation, this line would probably be 6 points, something like that. Because
I think it would be more like 4 or 5.
Dallas is clearly better than Minnesota. Minnesota is one of those underachieving teams. I don't really trust them too much. 2.5. It's close. Like you said, the big swing is Prescott. So now the three of us sit in the seat where are we going to play conservative and go with Minnesota? Let Minnesota win by a field goal if Prescott doesn't play?
What's Prescott's status?
He's currently questionable. And there's really no information on if he's practiced. Honestly, I don't think it matters if he practices as long as he can walk, because it's a calf injury. As long as he can walk or at least jog, I figure they'll play him and they'll figure out the rest as they go. Give him some painkillers, he'll be fine. But the Cowboys' offensive line is one of the best in the league. So if he played, you know that they have a good confidence that he'll be healthy throughout the game. They're not risking a long-term injury. This is tough because we're picking on a Wednesday. I want to say Dallas, but the just big question mark of is Prescott going to play is a big question. I'm going to go with Minnesota. Screw it. I'm going to go Minnesota in this one. I don't want to because I think Prescott's going to play, but I'm just going to play it safe, and I'm going to go Minnesota.
Steve?
Because if it's not Prescott, it might as well be Dan Cornell.
Steve, will you please start talking?
I was thinking, never mind. I'm going to go with Dallas. I think Dallas is just a better football team. And I think the Prescott will play. I think the word he'll get is keep your ass in the pocket. I'll talk to Randy in the morning. I didn't get a chance to talk to him today. But I'll see what he says. Yeah, I think Dallas is just too good a football team overall. So for only be at 2.5.
I disagree. I think Dak Prescott will play, and I'm picking the Minnesota Vikings. I think Dalvin Cook will be healthy. Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson, they can score points. Both teams are coming off 2 weeks of byes, or both teams are coming off their bye right now. Both teams are as healthy as they've been. Remember this, Dallas struggled against a less talented New England team on the road. I think Dalvin Cook has a big day here. I think Minnesota, when this day is done, will be 4-3 and firmly with a shot at the playoffs.
Yo, you know what? I know we don't do this, but we're still on the game. I'm gonna go with Dallas because I just read that Prescott should.
Oh no! You don't let me change my picks.
No, you can't change your pick.
Can't change your pick, buddy. No, I've gotten ripped on that 3 times.
Once you've picked, I think I've got the paper here too, with where the rule is written down.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can find it real quick, but it says you can't change your pick. So,
right.
I also told you, dude, don't worry about it. I got you here. Minnesota's going to win this game. Dak Prescott or no Dak Prescott. Trust me. Let Steve fall a game farther behind us.
But wait, Mike.
Like I really
Go
care.
ahead and change it. He can
Mike, who
change
did
it,
you
Steve.
Pick?
I picked Minnesota. I think Dak Prescott will play, and I think Minnesota's going to win.
Okay.
So I can't change my pick?
You can change your pick.
He's
as long as we
you
haven't went
No,
to another
Steve
game.
yelled at me.
No, yep, yell at everybody. We all
Change
yell
your
at each
pick.
other. It's a big deal.
Quit being a little bitch, Dan, and pick the game.
Yeah, pick who you want to pick, Danny.
I'm going Minnesota. Screw it.
Is it all right with your mom?
Mom, you good? Mom, the meatloaf. We want it. The meatloaf. We want it now.
Nobody wants your mom's meatloaf. She always burns it, Dan.
I never know what she's doing back there.
Yeah. All right. We're going to go ahead. We're going to wrap the show. Steve, are we doing a Survive in Advance tomorrow? Are you going to be a little pouty girl because
do it, Steve.
Do it Monday?
I can't do it tomorrow. I can do it Friday.
I can't do it Friday at 1. We could do a special Friday night edition and have Dan on with us.
Oh, I'm in.
Look at Dan's excited.
Same time, 5 o'clock?
We could.
Well, what time can
that would be 8 o'clock. That would be 8 o'clock your time. That would be your
5. I have a job still. Do your thing.
At 8 o'clock at night, you have a job.
8 o'clock at night, you have a job?
Oh, he said 5.
Yeah, that's what
What's
time it is
5
for
my
Steve.
time, dude? I live 3 hours younger.
He lives
than
in
you.
a different country.
Right.
It's
where
still
everybody's
daylight
old.
here.
It's still daylight there. Steve's got a shirt that says that. It's daylight and it's 89 degrees.
Yeah.
I hate you, Steve.
All right, so Friday night, Survive in Advance with special guest Dan, whatever the hell his name is. That sound
What's
good?
the topic?
I don't know. I think we ought to talk about the NFL's race norming because nobody on ESPN brings that up at all.
Race
I wonder
norming?
why.
You don't know what that is, Dan? All right, race norming is this. The guys with CTE, if you're black, they test them to see if they are going to give them disability for it, pay for it.
Okay.
They test the white players also. Since 1990, I think it was, correct, Steve? What they've done is they have gone off the basis that the black athlete was dumber than the white athlete. So the black athlete,
Unbelievable.
the black athlete and the white athlete, if they score the same, the money goes to the white athlete because they consider the black guy dumber, so then he would have cognitive issues.
Oh, my God.
It's the most racist shit ever.
It
And
is.
they fired John Gruden for those emails, and they will
Yeah.
not let you see the Washington football team's emails.
Oh, wait, hold on. Actually, I'm glad you bring that up. I want to know, is the NFL going to release
No.
everything?
Roger Goodell said they will not release
No,
anything.
they're not releasing anything else.
Hold on.
That's
This
it.
isn't. Hold on. This isn't. A player.
Let's save this for Survive in Advance.
No. Hold
Yeah,
on.
this is a preview, Steve. Go
Mike
ahead,
took
go ahead.
Viagra 47 minutes ago, and it's only got a 45-minute half-life as it is.
That was Viagra.
Gross.
Yeah.
I thought it was an ibuprofen for my head, but all right.
Yeah.
No.
So hey,
It
hold
was for your head, Mike.
Steve, kids could be watching, and now little
Touche.
Danny looked at Daddy and said, "Daddy, what's he
I
doing
said
by your
nothing
other
wrong.
head?" And then the guy's gonna say, "That's Steve Risley. He played for Bobby Knight. He's probably got PTSD from."
Well,
it.
if you want to hear Bob Knight stories, I'm going to go a lot darker and deeper than that.
Oh, we can do a show about that if you want to. Go ahead, Dan.
Aside from betting.net, we're definitely going to need Cialis or something to be another sponsor for Steve, so he can read a spot.
Well,
It's
Steve
clear.
loves Viagra.
Gross.
You're damn right I do. I'm 63 years old. Why would I not love Viagra?
But no, hold on. So, you guys both don't think the NFL is going to release any other findings?
They
No.
said they're not.
The only way it will get released is if somebody digs it up and puts it out, because the NFL covers up every damn thing. They covered up CTE for decades. They let players die without helping them. They don't care about players. They don't care about fans. It's a big corporation. They're just there to make money.
Yeah, but this isn't the 90s.
Doesn't
or
matter.
the
The
80s. This isn't.
It
this
doesn't matter to
isn't-
the NFL. It's still their world.
This is we're firm in the whole cancer culture and the whole politically
Dan,
correct.
Dan,
Politically
Black Lives
correct.
Matter.
Hey, that politically correct thing usually only goes against right-leaning organizations. The NFL is left-leaning. They're virtue signaling for a reason. You know, they played a black national anthem before the game, but they don't really do anything for black people to want to be coaches or be interns in the league. But they'll virtue signal all the time. They'll give money to the inner city to help them with the violence that goes on there or the racial injustice. But when it comes down to doing anything of substance, they won't do it because they don't care. The only thing they're trying to do is make some people happy so they keep going and buying tickets. It's why I'll never buy a ticket to an NFL game ever again. I stopped 5 or 6 years ago. It's crap like this. I mean, the fact that you paid this much attention to the NFL and you didn't hear about the race norming should tell you something big time. And that race norming stuff came out in July. The NFL just settled it, like within the last week. And they settled it, gave these players billions of dollars. But the one thing that was in there was this. We all have to agree that the NFL was not at fault, even though we're giving you $1 billion.
Have to tell you guys, this would be a great show Friday night.
And that's why we're going to do the show Friday night. And I'll see if maybe I can get Joe Kelly to come on. He played in the NFL. He's been through all this testing and all this crap. I'll see if he's busy Friday night. He played for the Bengals in Super Bowl 23. Also tomorrow night, me and Joe will be doing the Cincinnati Bengals weekly show at 9 o'clock Eastern time on The Grueling Truth. I will have Rick Mentor. He was supposed to be on the end of last week. He had a couple issues where we had to push it back. I will have him on at 1 o'clock. He's a former University of Cincinnati head football coach. He was also the defensive coordinator with Lou Holtz at Notre Dame. And then at 8 o'clock Eastern time, we will talk a little bit about the NFL and the racism that permeates the NFL, even though they want to act like it doesn't. We're going to talk about a lot of things with the NFL Friday night at 8 o'clock. Make sure you check that out. We're going to wrap this up because I'm going to be in trouble because we went an hour and 31 minutes. But follow me at Grueling Truth. Follow Steve Grizzly at SGrizzly34. Follow Dan at
DB Talking Sports. D as in Dan, B as in Bob.
Yeah, it's D as in douche, B as in bag. Check them out, guys. But for Dan Kornhauser, Steve Grizzly, I'm Mike Goodpasture. You've been watching and listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.